Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here today. We are going to be creating this Hooray banners card. I'm calling it a birthday card, but it could be a celebration card for anything using brand new products from the January 2023 release from Mama Elephant. As always, Mama Elephant brings us amazing new products, and I am using the Group Hug image for my card today. Now, I placed the image in my MISTI and I'm stamping it on some Express It blending cardstock, but I accidentally did not get this stamped very well. You can see I double stamped it. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to stamp it on the back side of the cardstock. There's no waste this way, so you'll see when I die cut my image and flip it over, it's going to look a little funny on the back side. However, as I mentioned, I like to not waste the paper. This image is going to be fantastic not only for your celebration type of cards like birthday or other celebrations, but things like friendship, thinking of you, even a new baby card. I am a huge fan of images and designs that can be used for multiple purposes. And I could see maybe softening the colors or even coloring it exactly like I am today and using it for like a new baby. I think that would be super sweet. I am going to color my images with Olo markers. Olo markers, if you don't know, are an alcohol ink based marker, and they are kind of new to the industry. I am loving them. I have several videos. I will link to those down in the description below. If you are interested at all, you can use them with the alcohol ink markers you already have. Let's say you have some Copics, you can mix and match. So definitely really fun markers. I did opt to leave the coloring in. I speed up my videos, but I did opt to not speed up the coloring, as most of you have mentioned that you enjoy not getting dizzy as the coloring is going by speeding it up too much. So I did want to mention that if you really just want to see how I put the rest of the card together, you can always fast forward to that. I will put a timestamp down in the description below so that for anyone who really just wants to get to the assembly portion of the card design, you can get there easily. Now, I kind of worked back and forth trying to figure out the colors I want to use. Something about Olos that is a little different than Copics, and I tend to forget, and I'm doing it right now, which makes me think of it. You don't have to blend and go over things as many times. In fact, I oversaturated my cardstock a little bit, so I just need to let that set, and I can come back and fix it. And that is just something kind of unique to these because of the flow from the brush. And you can read more about that or hear about that from Olo. And then I do have a video with my friend Lori, who works for the company that sells Olo, and she talks about that in our live. So I will link that down below. Now, I will say that I did go back with my dark marker and add in some darker shadows and things like that. Something I've been doing quite a bit lately with any alcohol marker is I have been adding my dark first and then kind of going lighter. Generally, in the past, I've gone in with a light layer of marker and then I gradually get darker. But for whatever reason, this has kind of been working for me to do the darker and then work towards the lightest color, so that's what I'm doing. The markers I'm using will be listed down in the description for anyone curious exactly which colors, so I will link that below. And you may also notice that I have 2 colors per marker. That is with Olos, you can connect them. I opted when I purchased my Olos to get the brush tip and not the chisel tip. And that was because I don't use the chisel tip. That's just not the kind of art I do. It's probably not the art most of us that color with them for card making do. And so I put 2 blending colors together with the connector ring, and I'm really loving it as it just kind of lessens how many markers I have to have. Plus my blender is generally right there with this marker. You don't have to do it this way, but that is an option if you're at all interested. So now I am just working my way through these cute little critters. I will tell you, after the video was done, after I had photographed my card, after all of that, I actually did go back and blend out my bear a little bit more. I felt like I left him too light in the center and I just didn't love my coloring. That is the benefit of alcohol ink markers, is that you can go over them as many times as you need to fix something or change something, make it darker. You can't really go lighter, but you can make it darker. I did want to mention that because to me, it's like glaringly obvious in the voiceover and in the photos. Sometimes when you're in the midst of doing a project, you don't notice it until later, until you've taken a step back and looked at it. And of course, I did this all in one day. For anyone who's asking, because I do get asked quite a bit, and I did keep track of the time, this card took me an hour to make. It took about 58 minutes, actually. I don't always pay attention, but when I do, I like to let you guys know, because that is something I get asked a lot, and I don't ever remember to pay attention to the length of time. We're going to just work our way through the rest of these. In addition to the group hug stamp and die set, I will be using the banners, and this is maybe it's probably tied for my favorite product from the release. There are a couple from the release that are my favorite, but I would say that the Hooray streamers, I called them banners, but the Hooray streamers, and then the Sweetie bag, which is a new gift bag from Mama Elephant. I have loved the Favor bag for years. Those are probably my two favorites. The heart shakers are a very, very close second, but I think these Hooray streamers are amazing. You can use them for all kinds of celebration cards, not birthday specific. And I always need dies or images like this that will work with things. And my favorite thing about the Hooray streamers is that the Hooray streamer banner actually has a solid piece, and then it has a separate piece that die cuts the letters for Hooray so that you can layer them on. It is brilliant. There's a couple of different streamer styles. There's a scallop and then like the traditional streamer. It's a great set for anyone who is looking for that. And again, any kind of card, any kind of celebration, anniversaries, birthdays, retirement, new babies, wedding, all of those things are going to be fantastic for these Hooray streamers. I called them celebration. Hooray streamers. I have links to anything I'm using today down in the description, so definitely check that out. And I did the bottom of my bear's feet lighter, and I did want to mention this because I left it in. For whatever reason, I thought my penguin was facing front, and I'm like, why isn't there the area for the tummy? Like the outline, pardon me, for the tummy. It's because the penguin has its head turned to its side, holding on to the bear, hugging. Thus the group hug. So I realized that kind of as I was coloring right about there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so silly. So I fixed it. Luckily, I just tried to color it light pink and then was able to go over it with my nice dark warm gray. We're going to do an R color here for the face, and we'll use an orange for the beak. I forgot to mention I did some little dot texture for our sweet little elephant. The only other extra die, well, no, there's two. So in the group hug, you obviously get the die for the group hug for that this big image. You also get an individual bird image, and I did stamp that extra bird because he needs to be standing on the Hooray streamers. And then you get the outline to die cut huge hugs if you are stamping the huge hugs sentiment and you want to die cut that for your card or for any card. Many of the sentiments in this group hug stamp set are going to work for many different kinds of cards as well. And as always, Mama Elephant's images will work back to other stamp sets that they have come out with. So maybe you have another penguin set and you want to include more penguins. Maybe you're doing a slimline card and you want to have some extra penguins. You can coordinate back, or the bunnies, or the cat, or the mouse, or the fox. All of the images really work back to other Mama Elephant sets, which I think is always brilliant. It's my favorite thing. I know I mentioned that a lot, but I want to always let you guys know you can always work in, I guess I should say, new product with things that you already have. So something to keep in mind, I think would be really, really cute. Birds too. There's lots of sets with birds. There's lots of sets that have like some little birthday hats. So you could put birthday hats on some of your critters if you wanted to as well. I left my kitty till last. I'm actually going to use a yellow-orange color, and it really ends up reminding me of one of my oldest son's cats, how I end up coloring this little guy, but he's really cute. Now, once I'm done, I am going to die cut my bird and my group hug image, and then we are going to grab our background, or start doing our background. I am going to take a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel of smooth white cardstock. I'm using Nina 110-pound weight cardstock for my background, and we're going to do a little customization or create a little bit of interest to that background. This card is very image heavy. That group hug image is big. It takes up a lot of space. I just want my background to have a tiny bit of texture. This is the Layered Hearts stencil set from Fawn. I believe this is from their 2022 release. They have a new set for the 2023 release. And I am taking Tattered Rose and Festive Berries, which is my new favorite color combination, new, old, whatever. And I am adding a very light coating of these Distress Oxides to my background. I purposely did not use a heavy hand with this because I want it to be very light and faded off into the distance. I want the streamers and the group hug image to take center stage here. But I love this because with the two-tone stencil, you get both colors in the background. I love this background, and I did purposely decide not to go clear out to the edge to kind of have it fading into the center. And my background measures A2 sized 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. Then on another 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel, this could be any scrap really. I just had another one convenient. I am going to ink up my cardstock. This is with Festive Berries, and the other half I'm going to ink up with Tattered Rose, just a little bit. I didn't go too over the top. I am doing my inking on a Simon Says Stamp glass mat. These are super easy to clean up. I just take a little rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle and a rag and wipe it clean. Now, why did I do the ink blending on this panel? Well, I'm actually going to take this and we are going to die cut our streamers from this color. I wanted my streamers to match the colors that I stenciled the background perfectly. You could definitely do this out of different colors of cardstock, but for me, I actually didn't have the pink, that Tattered Rose color. I don't have that color of cardstock in my stash. So I am creating my own, and I figured why not just go ahead and have them match perfectly. So from the Festive Berries, we're going to die cut the streamers, and I just die cut the streamers together, or trim them, pardon me, with my wire snips together. You can trim them individually if you want to as well. And then I'm going to take my Hooray banner and I am going to die cut that from the Tattered Rose part of the design. Also from the streamers, I'm going to take some Simon Says Stamp matte gold cardstock, and we are going to die cut that and the letters for Hooray from this matte gold cardstock. I love gold accents with the Tattered Rose especially. I think it just looks so elegant and pretty. Probably would work really nice for a love-ish Valentine's if you wanted to. And we're just going to move all that stuff here to our work surface. Let's go ahead and get our Hooray. And once I have everything, the card comes together super, super fast. So we're just going to run that through. And it die cuts the most perfect Hooray banner. Oh, I love it. So let's move the die cutting machine out of the way and let's start putting our background together. This literally is the easiest, one of the easiest cards I think I've ever put together. I laid out some of my banners, but then I thought, you know, I really should take my image. I don't want to be covering up too much of it. I want it to look like the streamers are all up at the top and then these cute critters are sitting down here at the bottom. And here I flipped it over and you can see part of where I had my mistake stamping when I was stamping on one side of that blending card, the Express It blending card. I am going to put some foam tape on the back. This is my favorite Simon Says Stamp foam tape. It really helps pop up the image perfectly, but the backing paper pulls right off. There is some foam tape that is just so difficult to remove the backing paper. This is not one of them, which I love. I'm going to go ahead and lay this down, but I'm going to try not to press too hard because I do want some of my streamers back behind part of that. So I'm just going to lift up the elephant. I'm going to use tweezers and some glue, liquid glue, and we are just going to put a little bit here all over, and we're going to start placing our streamers down. We're going to finish kind of with that Hooray streamer and then layer on the gold letters on top. So I'm using my Hooray as kind of a guide. The streamers for me just really complete this cute little scene. Super, super easy, really easy way to make a cute scene card. Yeah, I don't really want to put that all the way down. And again, I'm still kind of playing with my Hooray, making sure that I want to leave room for it, I suppose, is how I want to say that. Okay, let's go ahead and do our remaining red and gold streamers. And aren't those soft faded hearts in the background? They're just nice and light and not overpowering. Once I have my gold streamers, and I tried to make it kind of look like they're going back and forth, and they are hanging off the edge. We can trim off the edge later. I'm going to put some glue just along the straight edge of the Hooray banner. That's so that the letters are kind of a little bit more free. Oops. Kind of bump that. And we're going to pop that Hooray banner down, and then I'm going to go ahead and put glue over all the letters, and an embellishment wand comes in super handy here to pick up the letters and pop them in place right where they go. So I'm just going to pick them up just like this and pop them down in place. I love this font too. I don't know about you guys, but I think this font is awesome. Okay, after I've done that, let's grab our remaining little bird and we are going to pop him up to almost to look like he's fluttering down to sit onto the Hooray banner. And then there is room up at the top for a couple of sentiment strips. The Hooray is part of our sentiment, but it's also part of the design. And so I want to go ahead and I am going to flip this over and just snip off my streamers hanging off of the edge. So let's go all the way around and snip this. And I am going to take some of that Festive Berries ink because I really don't want anything super dark. I didn't want to use black or gray or anything like that as I was considering this. You can use any stamp set here that would work with the Hooray sentiment, but I am going to go ahead and just use Greetings from the Group Hug stamp set. And oh, I forgot. First, let's go ahead and take a black pen and add detail back to the nose of the fox, the bear, and our mouse. They all kind of have their eyes closed like they're hugging, so I didn't need to add anything there. And then we're going to take two phrases from Group Hug, celebrating you today and from all of us, because I think that looks so cute. That works so cute with this group of critters. And we are going to stamp them on a scrap of white cardstock and die cut them with the Sentiment Labels dies from Simon Says Stamp. Always one of my favorite things to do is to make little sentiment strips to finish it off. And by being so tiny, they don't take away from the design. I chose the festive berries because it matches perfectly, but you could pick a different color if you wanted to. And then we'll just die cut those and pop those up with foam adhesive right at the top of the design. Now the final thing that I did was I am going to add some little dimensional embellishments. I need a little heart at least somewhere, and I ended up adding a few. So we're going to add some of the Trinity Stamps candy apple hearts to our card, one to the bear's tummy or chest area more than tummy, and a couple just floating amongst our streamers. And we're also going to add some gold pearls from Pretty Pink Posh to tie into the gold of the streamers and the Hooray banner. And I think it just will help kind of finish off the design with a few little scattered embellishments. So let's grab our hearts first, trying to figure out where I want to put those all. That's always the trick, is figuring out placement. And I started putting both hearts here, but you can see I accidentally placed, well, not accidentally, I placed that red heart over the streamer and it doesn't show up at all. So I'm going to move that heart, and that's when I grabbed the gold embellishments. And we'll just add some of these scattered throughout our card too. So don't be afraid to kind of maybe change a little bit. Sometimes I have to change what I'm doing mid-idea because it's not working out. I'm going to pop this panel on a top fold card base, and then we are going to create a very simple envelope, stamped envelope to go with this. A lot of times if I have an extra minute or so, I will go ahead and do a very simple envelope. It doesn't have to be extravagant, but I really do love that extra little touch of having a matching envelope that matches the card. So in this case, we're going to take the group hug image, stamp it on a white envelope from Simon Says Stamp using Tattered Rose ink, and it's going to be hanging off the bottom, kind of the bottom left corner, and that is going to finish off the design. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this group hug birthday themed card featuring brand new products from the Mama Elephant January 2023 release. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There's exclusive content, you'll receive a handmade birthday card from me during your birthday month, monthly lives for my top tier patrons, and more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always notified when I have a video or go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.